Live from the Don and Lorena Meyer studio at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Harmon Johnson.
And I'm Bella Pitts.
This afternoon, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky met with President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, but the meeting was cut short after a fiery debate developed in the Oval Office. That is our top story tonight. Just hours ago, a heated confrontation between two world leaders, all of it on camera. Instead of finalizing a deal for minerals that could lead to peace in Ukraine, an argument broke out between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Zelensky had traveled to the U.S. to meet with the Trump administration and discuss the signing of a deal that would give the U.S. critical minerals from Ukraine in exchange for support from the U.S. in Ukraine's fight against Russia.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Zelensky ended up leaving the White House not long after the contentious exchange, and the two sides did not sign the rare earth minerals deal. On social media, Trump said Zelensky can come back when he's ready for, quote, peace.
Multiple domestic violence situations happened in Lincoln this month, the latest being just days ago. As these horrific events unfold, local organizations are calling for increased support to help victims.
3 deadly domestic violence incidents in Nebraska. The most recent on Wednesday, when a 21-year-old woman was allegedly hit by a car before she was shot to death by a man in Lincoln.
Anytime there is something that is high profile or that there's a lot of media attention around, then typically our calls to both us as well as to our member programs increase.
Kristen McTaggart is the executive director of the Nebraska Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence. They oversee 20 programs providing survivors with state-required services.
The ability to provide shelter, whether that's through a standalone shelter or hotel motels, transportation to hospitals, to provide support for legal needs around helping with protection orders.
Right now, the coalition splits $1.9 million of state funding between their providers, but she says it's not nearly enough.
Other states receive anywhere from the lower end of around $6 million up to the higher end of $59 million.
That's why LB 348 was introduced by Senator Jason Prokoff. It proposes adding an extra $3 million to funds already given for domestic violence services. It would come from the Health and Human Services Cash Fund. McTaggart says it's critical to help victims get back on their feet.
These funds would just help ensure that our programs have the ability to meet those needs.
If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, you can visit the Nebraska Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence or the Lincoln Police Department's Victim Assistance Unit.
Governor Jim Pillen declared a state of emergency yesterday in Nebraska in response to the fires in 2 Nebraska counties, Dawes and Custer. The fires were fueled by a combination of high winds, low humidity, and dry conditions. Pillen authorized state emergency plans to manage the fires and prevent possible property loss.
This has been an important week for student government at UNL. The ASUN held their Committee of Fund Allocation Town Hall meeting this past Tuesday. The university Transit Services, University Health Center, Campus Recreation, and University Program Council all saw budget increases, anywhere from 1% to 5%. The Daily Nebraskan didn't request an increase in budget. Rather, they requested the same amount from the previous year. The paper is in good shape thanks to its digital advertising and keeping student fees at only 34%. In a turn of events, after every budget being approved unanimously, it was the ASUN's own budget that sparked debate. ASUN requested a 12% increase to their budget, but received backlash from 2 CFA members.
The Department of Education's Dear Colleagues letter puts the future of students and faculty in turmoil. Project Raices is an academic initiative to equip future educators with a full-ride scholarship and a teaching education at the University of Nebraska. The 16-student cohort was picked through the Grow Your Own program, an action plan from UNL's College of Education that recruits high school seniors from small-town Nebraska with the intention of sending them to teach in their hometowns after graduation. With the loss of their $5.25 million grant, the students and staff of Project Raices are uncertain of their future at UNL. There is enough funding for the 16 students to finish classes this spring semester, but beyond that remains unclear. For more information, visit the project site on the Outreach and Partnerships page at cehs.unl.edu. For current conditions today in Lincoln, there is a red flag warning in effect as weather continues to be up and down. Winds are from the northwest reaching upwards of 26 miles per hour, some gusts being as high as 37 miles an hour, Bella.
Although the wind might make it hard to be outside, it is a sunny February day with the high today at 67 degrees and a low of 28 degrees. Spring may be closer than we think. We will be back with your weekly forecast after the break.
The University Program Council held their annual Stuff a Plush event yesterday. Nebraska Nightly's Josh Dozler has the story.
UNL students made new, fluffy friends at UPC's Stuff a Plush event.
This is Stuff a Plush. This is, I think, a bi-semester UPC event that basically you just get a free stuffed animal if you show your event pass.
Stuff a Plush saw over 700 students and is one of the most popular events on campus. Students lined up for 2 sessions. The second one sold out in an hour. Lines made it out of the door, but warm weather kept spirits high. Students chose from frogs to bulldogs and everything in between.
As you can see, it's super popular. There's so many students here and we sell out every year, and we want to keep bringing events that students love and enjoy. And so if this keeps getting good, positive feedback, we keep doing it every year.
And with this year's response from students, I think it's safe to say that we will be seeing Stuff a Plush again.
Love Stuff a Plush. I think this is a great event. Obviously, students love it, so keep it up, UPC.
Josh Dozler, Nebraska Nightly.
I'm sure we have all spent some time outside during this beautiful week, but not all Lincoln communities have enjoyed the increase in temperature. Sophie Farrell has more. Sophie?
Having some technical issues with that, but for more information after the break, we're going to look at how the Malone Center honors the life of Emmett Till and how people in Lincoln appreciate their ancestry. Stick with us. We're good, guys.
It helps save lives. Right now, only 7% of the population donates blood. But imagine if there were more.
We're sitting at below a 7-day level of supply of all blood types across the board. So every blood type is important, and we need all donors of all types to come in and donate right now.
At the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, they believe that all types make a strong blood supply.
Social media is a daily part of many college students' lives, something we've become used to, but it can also be overwhelming and draining. Studies show that taking regular breaks from social media reduces stress and improves mental health. Too much screen time has been proven to increase anxiety, while stepping away helps you reconnect with the world around you. Take a break. Protect your mental health.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. Black History Month is coming to an end today, but its impact on the Lincoln community is not.
The Malone Center used the month to focus on one of the pivotal moments of the civil rights movement. Nebraska Nightly's Olivia Reed learned more about the story of Emmett Till.
The Malone Center's Black History Month celebration honored the life of Emmett Till, a 14-year-old black child who was lynched in 1955. The event focused on the message, "We are not done yet," a saying that the Malone Center holds dear to their heart. As a community center that honors its African American heritage, the Malone Center believes the civil rights struggle should be taught year-round.
We always thinking about those who have come before us that laid the foundation. The foundation is key, is very important to where and how we're moving forward today.
Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr. was only 16 when he visited Mississippi with his 14-year-old cousin Emmett, a trip that changed the trajectory of his life. Parker Jr. now dedicates his life to keeping the memory of his cousin alive and making sure the world remembers him as who he really was.
I want them to remember Emmett as a leader. I want them to remember him as a fun-loving person who tried to enjoy life, and his life was snuffed out at an early age because of ignorance, lack of knowledge.
Parker Jr. said he has seen change happen from Emmett's murder, but that there is still a lot of work to be done. And this work can only be done if we lead with love.
Go back to your home, serve one another. No hate, no ill will, no animosity, because hate destroys a hater.
Olivia Reed, Nebraska Nightly.
Right now, the Malone Center runs their services through multiple locations around Lincoln, while they build their new facility. To get involved, you can visit their website at maloncenter.org.
And turning back to weather now, a red flag warning is still in effect for the Star City.
This means strong winds with warmer heat and low humidity levels. Outdoor burning is not recommended, as any fires that begin are very likely to spread.
And taking a look ahead to our 7-day forecast, after a high of 67 today, we are going to drop back down into those 40s. I'm not ready for that tomorrow with a high of 45 degrees. Things will warm back up again on Monday, but it does bring in a chance of rain. The temperatures will even out again towards the back half of the week. And continuing our other news, Israel continues to violate ceasefire terms with Hamas over the Gaza Strip. Israeli sources told CNN, "We will not exit the Philadelphia corridor." The announcement comes days after the first phase of the ceasefire negotiations between Hamas and Israel are set to expire, and hours after Hamas upheld their agreement to release their last phase of hostages to Israel. Hamas said in a statement, a failure to exit the territory would be a, quote, clear violation of the ceasefire agreement and an attempt to fabricate excuses to obstruct the ceasefire agreement and cause it to fail, end quote. Israel has ramped up military operations on the Palestinian cities in the West Bank, killing dozens and displacing thousands of citizens since the ceasefire came into agreement. Negotiations to move into the second phase began yesterday in Cairo, with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu neglecting to send Israel's strategic affairs ministers. The ceasefire is set to expire tomorrow.
Do you ever want to learn more about your ancestors? Nebraska Nightly's Linda Cuckoo previews an upcoming event where you can meet people whose passion is family histories.
That keeps them alive. You forget a name, they're gone forever.
Becky Martin is a board member of the Lincoln Lancaster Genealogical Society, also known as LLGCS, where she spends most of her time planning events for Lincolnites to learn about their family histories.
My main goal is to kind of do different sessions. I just keep presenting or putting up histories and letting people know about a lot of history to do with Lincoln, and I've helped.
Martin helps folks navigate their histories, while other members like Judy Cook help manage the LLGCS library on O Street.
So there's a lot to find here, and we're not just Lincoln Lancaster County. I love maps. I love the stories that go with them. We actually have a little hand-drawn map of when the city of Lincoln was called Lancaster. It was drawn by somebody who lived here when people first started living here.
Cook is looking to expand their library's resources.
I really would like to get more resources to help touch the immigrant families that we have in our community.
Martin wants people to start by having a conversation with the family that they have around them to see what they can learn.
That down. Then ask them things like, what was it like when you were a kid growing up? And, where did you go to school? Did you go to school? Because
the goal of the Lincoln Lancaster Genealogical Society is preserving the past for future generations to learn from and to illuminate their paths for the future. Linda Cuckoo, Nebraska Nightly.
You can learn more about the Lincoln Lancaster Genealogical Society and their work on March 4th at the Genealogy Day Fair, which is free and open to the public. When we return, an update on Pope Francis.
And a controversial bill is brought to the unicameral. Stick with us.
Okay, so how about this much?
I don't know.
Well, how about this much?
I don't know.
How about...
Actually, I don't know.
Okay, maybe this much?
I don't know.
The very tip of your pencil, a fraction of a raindrop, 3 grains of salt. That's how much it takes for a dose of fentanyl to become lethal. Learn more at realdealonfentanyl.com.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting crueltyfreekitty.com today.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. Pope Francis suffered a medical setback earlier today. He was placed on a breathing machine after a sudden episode of breathing difficulty. But the Vatican says he's still alert, although not out of danger. The 88-year-old pontiff has been battling double pneumonia in the hospital for 2 weeks, and due to his continued illness, he will not lead the upcoming Ash Wednesday services. The Vatican says he has only missed one other Ash Wednesday service in his 12-year papacy. A cardinal will instead fill in for the Pope during the service, which begins the Lenten season.
The Nebraska legislature held a hearing on Monday over whether or not to put the 10 Commandments into public schools across the state. Senator Dave Merman proposed LB 691, which would display the Protestant version of the 10 Commandments in schools. Senator Merman and his proponents argued that the 10 Commandments are a historical piece with plenty of lessons to be taken away from it. Opponents brought up the argument that the display was a complete violation of the separation of church and state. The bill is currently pending in the Education Committee.
English will soon be the official language of the United States. The White House reports President Donald Trump will make that change by signing an executive order. This marks the first time in U.S. history an official language will be designated on a national level. Sources briefed on the order say the move is being made to bring unity to the nation. The order will also rescind a mandate from the Clinton White House that required agencies to provide help to people who don't speak English, although the agencies will still be able to do so. The U.S. Census Bureau says roughly 80% of American households use English as their primary language. Dozens of states have already approved legislation that makes English their official language.
Coming up in sports, Nebraska's baseball is back in action this weekend.
And Nebraska Beach Volleyball holds a home match right here on campus, all after the break.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Trey Marler. We're a little over 7 hours until that calendar turns over to March, the most coveted month in college basketball. For half the country, the season is over. They're just playing for pride and looking to play spoiler of tournament dreams. For a quarter of the teams, they're locked in, dancing their way into the NCAA tournament. Then there's life on the bubble. You aren't in, you aren't out, and every game is the biggest of your season. The Huskers find themselves on that bubble, and for head coach Fred Hoiberg, his team understands what's at stake.
These guys know the importance of where we are and what's in front of us and what possibly still could happen, that hasn't been done in this program very often. So, these guys get the stakes right now. And again, we just got to live up to the standard that's been set.
Currently, as it stands right now, ESPN has the Huskers dancing as an 11 seed in Denver. CBS has them as a 10 seed in Cleveland, and they are at 11th in the Big Ten standings. That number is certain to fluctuate with 3 games left in the regular season. Nebraska is back in action tomorrow at 1 inside PBA versus Minnesota. Nebraska baseball is finishing up their opening season road slate before coming back home next week with a weekend series down in Frisco, Texas. With opponents like number 2 LSU on deck, Coach Bolt understands the significance of what's ahead.
There's no breaks in it. So yeah, it's going to give us some great RPI opportunities. None more important than Friday, right? Just getting back on the right track of things.
To Nebraska softball, who were in action earlier today, they took Game 1 over South Dakota State in extras 8-5 and dropped Game 2 to Oklahoma State in a low-scoring bout 1-0. They're back in action tomorrow afternoon against Missouri at 3 p.m. From Haymarket to the Knoll Beach volleyball courts, where Nebraska hosted their first home beach volleyball match of the season this morning. Nebraska Nightly's Bridger Cruz was on site and brings us the recap of day 1.
Nebraska volleyball traded out the courts for the sand on a beautiful Friday morning. The Cornhuskers took on the Wildcats of Wayne State College right here in Lincoln. Wayne, a powerhouse on the D2 volleyball scene, got their chance to compete with a world-class volleyball program. The matches were initially supposed to be played indoors, but due to the favorable weather, it was decided to play outside. This morning gave Husker fans a unique opportunity to see some familiar faces and new ones as the freshmen took to the sand in their Husker uniforms. Matches started between Wayne State and Nebraska at 9:30 this morning, and then at noon Wayne State played McKendree, followed by Nebraska versus McKendree at 2:30, and then ending the night it was Wayne State and Trinidad State. The Husker squad will be looking towards their next beach volleyball event on March 1st here in Lincoln. Reporting for Nebraska Nightly, I'm Bridger Cruz.
Full weekend slate of Husker events here, and recently announced Nebraska basketball official Instagram announced PBA to sell out tomorrow. Should be a fantastic stripe out game. Make sure to go look at the social media accounts to find what section you're sitting in. White or red stripe out inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. Should be a lot of fun.
If they fight well tomorrow, they will truly have a great next couple weeks.
I'm telling you what, I haven't been inside PBA during a stripe out yet, but Trey, I cannot think of something more fun to look forward to with the last couple games.
It's going to be pretty cool. They haven't done it in a couple of years. It should be, if everything goes to plan, it should be really cool. White, red checkerboard all across Pinnacle Bank Arena. Win this one, win your next 2. Should be pretty good here on that selection Sunday.
Right. Thanks, Trey.
Coming up, find a new favorite restaurant.
And a must-have in the warm weather we've been having. Stick with us.
Tonight on Nebraska Nightly.
Are you craving that sweet taste of barbecue? Lincoln residents often frequent a hidden gem on O Street. Nebraska Nightly's Abby McFarland went to Seaberry's to see what all the buzz was about.
Lincoln's downtown food scene is full of hidden gems, and for some, Seaberry's has been a long-time favorite. For Anthony, it's about more than just the food.
I heard about this place quite a few years ago, back in my downtown, nights, and then they had like breakfast. I thought it was kind of closed for a while, but because I work downtown, me and some of the coworkers, we stop by every so often. Today was the day. No more snow. The weather's nice. I'm back at Seaberry's.
For Anthony, it's about more than just the food.
It's good. The food is very consistent. You don't come in where you get like one day it's on, one day it's off.
That's what keeps customers coming back, but how did it get started?
We've grown quite a bit. We originally just started out doing late night breakfast and barbecue on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, and now we've grown to do lunches and dinners throughout the week as well. So it's been kind of a fun journey to watch it grow and get bigger.
From a late-night go-to and all-day staple, Seaberry's has been serving up quality food for nearly 15 years, but even after all that time, it still remains a hidden gem waiting to be discovered.
Just who we are, we're kind of like this lost hidden gem down in the downtown district, not many people know where we are, and then once they find us, they're like, oh my gosh, we hear it all the time. We're like, hey, I didn't know this place was here, and been here for almost 15 years, so.
Come discover why Seaberry's barbecue is a must-try in downtown Lincoln. Visit Seaberry's today.
Abby McFarland, Nebraska Nightly.
Now, Bella, everybody loves ice cream, right? Well, maybe not when it's freezing outside like it was last week.
Nebraska Nightly's Austin Ockenga has more on how a local ice cream shop survives the winter months.
Although the sun has only just started to shine on UNL campus, local creameries in Lincoln have been open year-round waiting for customers.
Ivana is a family-owned ice cream shop located in the Haymarket at 7th and P Streets. The shop was opened in 1997 and has been serving its customers year-round since.
We do have a huge shift from summer to winter, where in the summer we'll have lines out the door continuously, even through weekdays and weekends. Once it gets really late December and early January, it's just even on the weekends, it starts getting slow, on Fridays and Saturdays.
All the ice cream sold at Ivana is made on-site right inside the front door, which means workers have to be smart about how much they make during the slower season.
During the summer, every day we have production, so there's always people making ice cream, but during the winter, we'll make ice cream 3 or 4 times a week.
Production may need to pick up again since the recent glimpse of summer has encouraged people to venture back into the creamery in search of a cool sweet treat.
During nights, I know, even though I haven't been working nights, it gets really busy. Our sales have probably increased double. Last week we were probably making 500 a night, and then now we make Monday we made 1,000 something. It's been picking up.
The question on everyone's mind is, could it really be possible that ice cream is a year-round treat?
I think it is, and that's why we're still open all year round, because people still come in. Don't forget to come to Ivana.
Austin Ockenga, Nebraska Nightly.
Let's take one last look at our 3-day forecast.
Yeah, it's looking like on Saturday will be a high of around 45, partly cloudy.
Then the temperature will shoot back up with a high of 58 on Sunday, followed by a rainy day on Monday with a high of 63 degrees.
We'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Tune in on Tuesday at 4:30 for our next live show.
Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nebraska Nightly.
Nebraska Nightly is a production of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's College of Journalism and Mass Communications.